Hello everyone and welcome to a new series in the Black Desert Online playlist. Today what I have for you is the beginnings of the creation of my family for Black Desert Online, which launches March 3rd. If you guys are here to just watch the Sorceress creation, then you're more than welcome to do that and just go ahead and mute my voice and just enjoy the creation of a beautiful sorceress. If you want to know what and purpose of me creating this character is, then stick around. Um, During the name reservation event, which took place on February 9th, or started on February 9th, I was lucky enough to secure the name of Darkseid, which was like great. It was monumental. I was really ecstatic that I got it. And my family name, my last family name I didn't get, but you know, whatever. The family name doesn't matter as long as I secured the Darkseid name. So what I decided to do was create my family based around the New Gods, Forever People, Apocalypse affiliation inside the DC universe with Darkseid. So the first character I decided to create was not Darkseid. Surprisingly, I decided I was going to create his daughter because they had the Beauty and the Beast contest going on, and I wanted to kind of make my beauty. And I said, fuck it. Well, you know what? I might as well just create my beauty based on Darkseid's daughter, Grail. So for those of you who read comic books, you might be fairly familiar with Grail, but I know some people weren't necessarily too ecstatic about this, the new DC 52, and Grail was introduced in that. So around issue number 4, 5, or 6 inside the Justice League series, we were giving a precursor to Grail. Darkseid mentions that he's come to Earth, this time not looking for the anti-life equation, but actually seeking out his daughter. So he's been searching universes for his daughter, and now he's actually on Earth fighting our Justice League and just single-handedly defeats them before getting pushed back through a mother box or boom tube to send him back to Apocalypse. That's the first mention that we have of Darkseid's daughter. Later on, we have more mention of his daughter in Justice League Vibe number 7, when we find out Darkseid's daughter has been in custody by Argus, and she is able to escape her prison, her confinement. And then we finally get to meet Darkseid's daughter in about Justice League number 40, and she shows up, and Grail is pretty much an amalgam. I don't know how to say it. She's an amalgam. I can't say the word. Okay. She's they pretty much took like every freaking badass element that you could think of about female warriors we've seen over the course of the DC universe and just kind of like smushed them in there with slight homages to her father, Darkseid. Like the biggest thing that you see is her upside down Omega sign, which is just weird to me. I didn't get that or whatever. But so now we have Darkseid's daughter. So who is she? Her name is Grail, and she is a prophesied character inside the DC universe. This is where things start to get really convoluted and really weird. So how did Darkseid have a daughter? Well, first of all, he didn't do it with another new god. He didn't do it with one of the Forever People. He did it with an Amazon. Really strange. Darkseid's daughter was born around the same time that Wonder Woman was born in Themyscira. She is born to an Amazonian assassin who's named Marina Black. Marina Black gave birth to Darkseid's daughter as a weird method of actually trying to kill Darkseid. So there's a prophecy about Darkseid being born, and Marina Black decides that the best way that she is going to actually stop this prophecy of the birth of the Dark God or Darkseid and his destruction is to conceive his child and use that child to destroy Darkseid. Okay, that's weird. I didn't get it, but alright. So Marina then decides that, Marina is then informed by another Amazonian who has a seer, tells her that her daughter is actually going to bring even greater destruction than Darkseid is. Well, okay, so she believed the prophecy that Darkseid would be doing some shit and that she could use his daughter, but conceive this child to beat her. But she doesn't believe the seer that the daughter is actually going to cause even greater destruction. So what do we then have occur is she kills the seer and another Amazon and leaves Themyscira in secrecy. She's one of the first Amazons to actually flee Themyscira. So then she raises Grail for all of these years that we have not seen her, and when she appears, Grail is a badass, like literally a badass. So the first time we see her, um, she teleports into the Justice League, and she has a fight with them. And Grail shows herself to be more than capable hand-to-hand combat. She single-handedly defeats all of the Justice League, including Wonder Woman, Batman, and Green Lantern. Some of the most powerful members in the as far as what you would look at, some of the most powerful members inside the Justice League, smart members too, and really skilled combatants. It's not, these characters aren't like you're fighting Superman, who's just gonna brute strength, whip your ass into the ground. These are characters who are skilled fighters. So she is able to take them out, and she shows that she's not there to necessarily help Darkseid. After beating the Justice League and defeating the Green Lantern, she actually uses the Green Lantern's ring in order to summon the Anti-Monitor, who is an interesting character in and of itself. Once the Anti-Monitor arrives, she is then seen like being secreted away by the Anti-Monitor, and you kind of follow the story along up until the point where it is now in the series, where she has become the anti-life equation goddess. So the Anti-Monitor is important in the new story, in the new DC 52, is because he created the antimatter universe by unleashing the anti-life equation in that universe. So it's like dark matter was created there. The Anti-Monitor wasn't always an Anti-Monitor. He was actually a being named as Mobius, and his blood has become infused with the anti-life equation. Once he defeats Darkseid, and I'll bring this stuff up when I actually create Darkseid's character. Yes, Darkseid is actually defeated, hands down, killed. We don't know if that's a permanency that's going to appear in the new DC 52, but as of this moment, it does seem to be a permanent thing that they're pushing for. I hope that's not the case, and I hope Darkseid comes back, because Darkseid is to the DC universe what Thanos is to the DC universe, or what Galactus is to the DC or the Marvel universe. They are constants. They exist as always, almost in perpetuity, because these are the biggest of the bads, the worst of the bads, and you can't get any better than these guys in terms of power levels and the challenge that they represent to the heroes inside the universe, especially teams inside the universes. So I hope that he's not dead, and that the daughter is supposed to be replacing him in that regard. So the Anti-Monitor basically made a deal of some sort that we were not fully aware of yet at this point in the story. Made a deal with Darkseid's daughter Grail to actually revert himself back to Mobius and give over the power of the anti-life equation to Grail, which he does, and that's how she becomes the anti-life equation goddess. So Darkseid, this story is kind of convoluted because you don't really understand why Darkseid and the Anti-Monitor are having these fights, except that the Anti-Monitor is fighting Darkseid at the behest of what I used to call a forever person, or a new god named Metatron. He's a pretty interesting character in of his own right, and how that all plays out, but it's not necessarily important to the creation of Grail and why I'm doing the character for her here. So Grail Grail is then seen on she's then on the scene, and she has this, you can see that she has this really big angst towards her father, which we don't really understand why, unless her mother has just been brainwashing her into believing that her father is this big bad that she must hate. Like, she goes to the point of the last time we see her, the end page chapter of, I think it was Justice League 46, Justice League of America number 46, where she's saying, she's holding pretty much what looks like some kind of orb in her hand. It could be the anti-life, and she's saying, because death isn't even good, death is not good enough for Darkseid. So she has this big vengeful spirit behind her for her father, and it's, it's not quite shown. So it's just really interesting character development that's kind of ongoing. We're not at the end to understand. Jeff Johns and Jason Fabok, who created the character, have gone on record to say that the reason that they created Grail was because they were looking for this female bad that they wanted to infuse inside the universe, and that her story is going to be uniquely tied to Wonder Woman's. So we're probably going to learn about her more as the 52 universe continues and comes to its conclusion in June, but more or less probably tied to Wonder Woman. As a matter of fact, she's kind of seen throughout the course of the Darkseid War series, kind of being the antagonist to Wonder Woman. She's more powerful than Wonder Woman, we can say that for sure. Although the writing for her, or the animation for her, the drawings have been somewhat, it's been confusing, to say the least. It hasn't been the most well-oiled story, but it's been a good story nonetheless. So there's a reason why I chose the Sorceress to depict Grail. And the real thing that I did that is because Grail carries a weapon called a scythe, and it's not really a scythe, it just takes the form of the scythe. It's really a new god computer. It's highly advanced technology, but the Sorceress in this game, in Black Desert Online, she carries a scythe as part of her awakening weapons, which increases her range of attacks and her ability to pull enemies in for close range attacks. Similar to the way Grail fights, the Sorceress is adept at fighting from close to mid-range for her attacks. I also like the way they look in comparison to what Grail has been shown to do inside the DC universe so far. So what we know of Grail so far is kind of interesting. So some of these things are not going to mirror up completely with the Sorceress, for instance, but it's a good thing. Her physiology, because she's half New God, half Amazon, which is just badass in and of itself. You have old gods and you have new gods, and she has superhuman strength, superhuman durability, superhuman stamina, immortality. She also has Darkseid's Omega beams, which is why I made her eyes red. Her eyes appear red just like her dad's, just like her father's, because she has the Omega beams at her disposal. And if you know anything about the Omega beams, they are pretty powerful effects. Now, she's only shown to show the beams, and she's used those to destroy Wonder Woman's bracelets, which you have seen in the past. Like the Anti-Monitor wasn't able to destroy, Metatron wasn't able to destroy. There's been even Superman's eye attack has not been able to destroy Wonder Woman's bracelets, but a blast from her Darkseid's Omega beams were not capable of destroying Wonder Woman's bracelets. But Grail's was more than capable of destroying Wonder Woman's bracelets, which was a surprise in and of itself. So we haven't seen whether or not Grail has the ability to use the Omega Sanction the way Darkseid did, which was probably like, the biggest hacks attack that you could imagine inside the DC 52. Basically kill, maim, injure, send people back in time and displace them in different universes. The Omega Sanction was the hacks of everything. Grail also had the ability to dimensional travel, although that's kind of weird in of itself, because in order for her to travel across the universes and so forth, she has to lock on to the speed force or the frequency of any of the speedsters in the world, and then she could travel. She also showed the power to manipulate, at the very least, the willpower of a Green Lantern's ring. And she was able to use a Green Lantern's ring in order to summon the Anti-Monitor. Now, this hasn't been fully explained, so we're not quite sure how that works yet. Grail was also shown to be able to pervert Amazonian ritual that allows her to summon Darkseid to whatever location she is. Now, obviously, that's not going to be a big ability that she's going to have, but obviously she's magic capable, which is interesting in of itself. And like I said, Grail has shown that she's more than hand-to-hand combatant capable when she's fought the Justice League and took them all out. Like, there was nothing to stop her other than Anti-Monitor being like, that's enough, let's bounce out of here. She probably could have killed all of them. So it's interesting. So there's going to be quite a lot more that we're going to learn and understand about the character as they come over time. But for me, I like I I don't necessarily like the character design overall. I think Jason Fabog did a great job. I love Jeff Johns. I'm not sure where he's going with the character. It doesn't quite have the fulfillment to the story that I've seen, but it was a character that I was like, you know what? If I create this character in game, I might have some kind of enthusiasm to actually RP a female character in the game. And like I said, the whole this I'm gonna continue creating more characters from Darkseid's family or his entourage of people. For instance, I'll probably end up using the Barbarian or the Destroyer in order to recreate his son Calibok or Steppenwolf. I'll probably make a warrior out of, you know, Orion. I could potentially see creating Darkseid out of using one of his out of using the male wizard, and there's plenty of other characters that I could see from Darkseid's entourage or family, especially in the way it was rewritten inside the new DC 52, in order to make those characters in the game and make it more appealing for me to RP a number of different characters across the lands, across the Black Desert Online game space. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward more to the story and seeing where Jeff Johns is going to take it. I hope you guys like the character creation. I haven't gone in depth to talk about that, mostly because at this point I imagine most people have already played with the character creation module and seen the different little things that you can do with the character creation module in order to create characters the way you want them to. If you haven't, go to Black Desert Online, download the character creation model. I'll include a link in the bottom description so that way you can actually get out there and do it yourself. It's really easy, really simple to play with, and one of the most expansive character creators, I think, out of any of the RPGs that we've played in the last 10 years, I would say. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoy the video. I hope my character's pretty enough for you guys. But luckily enough, it's just a random tool of the draw that they're going to come out with for deciding who's winning the Beauty and the Beast contest. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. For those that listened, thank you very much. For those that didn't listen, hey, you still got to look at a pretty character being created. Until next time, guys, as always, have fun.